Hello, everyone. It's like we are running a bit late today. My name is Kate Okoli. As I promised you yesterday, we're going to be talking about domestic violence um, as, as, as it's connected to infidelity in the homes. So what that means in essence is we're talking about emotional and psychological abuse, which obviously most times people don't really talk about that area. Most times people talk about the physical abuse. And obviously, once in a while you hear people say, oh, but well, I don't abuse my husband, I don't abuse my wife, because they are referring to the physical abuse. But sometimes the emotional abuse is even worse than the physical abuse. Because it's on the inside. A lot of women have died due to bitterness, anger, unhappiness, arising out of infidelity in marriages. So we're going to wait a little bit to see if one or two people will join us. We're a bit late today. And if I wait for about 5 minutes, I'll just start. We can always watch the video. So the topic we're going to be discussing today is domestic violence, with particular reference to psychological and emotional abuse. So we are psychological and emotional abuse is a vast area to cover. So I'm going to pin it down around infidelity in marriages, when couples cheat on themselves. And let's say, for example, a husband is cheating on the wife, and what is the impact? What is the impact? The rate, the extent of the impact on the woman and the children. That's what we're going to talk about today. So a man, obviously, the Bible tells us that he who finds a wife finds a good thing. A man grows up, leaves home, gets his own apartment, and then decides that, yes, I'm man enough, I want to get a wife. And he finds that wife. And then obviously introduces her to other members of his family and decides that, okay, now it's time for me to propose to her. This is the woman I want to spend the rest of my life with. But lots of times, a lot of people don't know the extent of that commitment. You see, they just sort of go with the crowd. They move with the crowd. Oh, I'm old enough. I have the money. I can take care of a woman. But marriage is there's a lot of commitment involved in marriage. Loads and loads of commitments, both on the parts of the man and on the parts of the woman. So it is not enough to obviously come together and so we love ourselves. I love the man loves me, but let's get married. There's a whole lot that is involved, because that commitment is to the extent that you're saying for better, for worse, and you've taken a vow. So because you've taken a vow, what you're trying to say that you're going to forgo every other person, every other man, every other woman. You're going to build a life around this man, around this woman. And then because you've taken that vow, it's almost like saying, okay, for example, you are going into partnership. Obviously, you set up a business with somebody, and with 2 or 3 people, or for example, one person, and you've gone into business partnership with the person. So what it means is that there are terms and conditions of that contract that you've entered into, legally and spiritually. So because there is a term to that contract, you must make sure that you are psychologically, emotionally fit to be able to meet with that contract. So what it means in essence is that you are you have the level of integrity that is required to make that commitment, to obviously stand in the front of family members, friends, neighbors, to say, this is the man, this is the woman I want to spend the rest of my life with. So the thing about that commitment, that vow that has been made, it's not about kissing. It's not about romance. It's not about sex. There is more to that commitment. Because if you don't make that commitment with either the right man or the right woman, or if you don't understand the level of that commitment, you may have just dug a pit that might ruin your life, not only your life, but the life of generations to come. Your children, your grandchildren, and loads of people might be affected because of that single decision that you have made. Just two words, I do. You see, so it's not just enough to say the woman is beautiful, I love her. Oh, the man is so handsome, he gives me his credit card to spend. Oh, the man gives a lot. All of that, they're all minor things when it comes to the real deal about what marriage commitment is all about. Marriage is a serious commitment. It is not for babies. It is a serious. Thank you very much, BDB Mark Modi. Thank you for joining this broadcast. Mr. Gosaimade, thank you very much. Respect. Ezehanacho, thank you. I see you there, Given. Thank you. I'm just talking about marriage relationship, as obviously there are lots of stuff going on about domestic violence. And most times, people talk about physical violence. But the worst part of violence that happens in the home, it's the emotional and the psychological abuse that takes place in homes. That a lot of people don't know, a lot of people don't see because it's not visible. It's on the inside. And then you see the woman dying slowly, unhappy. She's filled up with anger, with resentment, and then with revenge. You understand? And this thing is building up. And the same thing goes with men. And the man is, obviously, the anger and resentment and unforgiveness is building up. It's building up gradually. And obviously, these couples, they really don't understand that at that point, it will be better to seek professional advice. Obviously, get in touch with a marriage counselor, speak to a pastor, speak to a neighbor, have a mentor, a person that the couples can look up to say, okay, in case something happens, this is the man or this is the woman that we can run to for advice. Again, in choosing that kind of man and that kind of woman, you got to be careful because there are some advice that can be given to couples that are not godly, you see. So you need to seek that godly person that has the fear of God, that has the experience, obviously, that can admonish, that can stand and speak the truth, no matter whose us is God at each point in time. Now, going back to where I started from, about the commitment that's involved in marriage relationships. What it is we need from the inception, especially the upcoming people, the young unmarried people, you need to understand what you are going into. You need to make up your mind. So that is why courtship is very important. So when you begin to see certain signs during courtship, don't overlook those signs. For example, for a man who is obviously he likes lots of variety, he likes women, and then anything in skirt goes. It must be that during courtship, you must have cited that characteristics. You've seen that this man, he has that trait of being able to obviously sleep with your best friend or your sister or the neighbor or something. He tells you he's coming on so and so date. He's not obviously. He's nowhere to be found. He's not reliable. So all the traces are there to show that this man cannot, obviously, he doesn't have that self-control to keep to one woman. And then before you now begin to make up your mind to say, this is the kind of man you are going to spend the rest of your life with, you need to think and understand that you cannot change that man. You cannot change that man. Even his mother cannot change him. So don't think that, let me just get married. All my friends are married. By the time I get married to him, he's going to change. By the time I get married to him, I'll keep nagging him and he must change. He can't be sleeping around. He's going to change. He is not going to change. So it's two things. It's either you want to accept this man for who he is. He might be a very good person in other aspects. He might be a good man, caring, family-oriented and everything. But this might be just his weak points. He cannot stand not sleeping around with other women. So at that point, you have to make up your mind. You have to sit back and begin to ask yourself questions. Is this what I'm going to live with the rest of my life? Am I able to cope with this kind of behavior? If tomorrow I invite my friends over to our matrimonial home and this man makes passes at my friends, am I going to be offended, or am I going to accept that, I already know that this is who he is? If tomorrow people come around to start saying to me, we saw your husband somewhere with another girl, are you able to cope with it? Or are you going to now turn yourself into a nagging wife? And then you keep nagging, and then you nag, and then you nag. You knew that this was how this man has been, even during courtship. You decided to go ahead to say, I do. So from the inception, from day one of that relationship, you already understood that the relationship is actually heading towards disaster. You knew it. You accepted him. And you said, it doesn't matter. I can cope. As far as it doesn't bring the women home, I can cope. And then by the time he marries you, and then you start nagging, and then he starts saying, my wife nags too much. That is why I don't like staying around the home. He starts giving excuses. My wife has put on weight. I'll prefer slim girls. My wife looks too old now. He starts giving all kinds of excuses to justify his own bad conduct. And then you keep running from one church to the other. Keep running from one prophet to the other, looking for who to pray for you, praying, going from one night vigil to the other. The time that you would have used to enjoy your relationship, to enjoy your marriage. Because you saw it from the beginning, but you went into it hook, line, and sinker. So it is important when we are going into marriage relationships for us to understand that it's not about that wedding day. It's not about proving a point to other people that, all my friends are married, now I must be married. Me too, I must be married. It's not about that. It's about this man, this woman that you're making your mind to be married to. Are you ready to accept his flaws? Are you ready to cope with him? Are you ready to be tolerant? He is not 100%. No man is 100%. No woman is 100%. Are you ready to cope? Have you asked questions? Have you asked about the foundation, the background of this man? Have you asked about the foundation, the background of this woman? Are you ready? Are you ready for it? Are you ready to cope? You have to begin to ask yourself questions. And so, if at the end of the day, you've seen this man and then you decide that, I'm going to get married to him. And then he starts flirting 2-3 years after you said, I do. And then you start hearing stories from colleagues, from neighbors, from friends. We saw your husband at the XYZ place. And then you start nagging. On the parts of the man, one of the major reasons why a woman feels unhappy, and there is nothing that kills a woman like having to know that another woman out there, a strange woman, is sharing her husband with her. It's not, I've been hearing some stories about some group of women on Facebook saying that, married women are selfish. They should be able to share their husbands. Really, I really don't understand what's going on with the world right now. But I believe strongly that for every woman, there is a man out there. For every woman. For every woman, there is a man out there. And so the pain for the woman who is at home, who has invested so much into her matrimony, cooking, scrubbing, washing, cleaning, going to the hospital, having the labor pain, putting out her life to bring children into the world. Because obviously, because she knows she's building something with this man. And then at the end of the day, obviously, maybe she might have started with the man when he had nothing. So she was there when there was no food. She was there when they used to eat once a day. She was there when there was nothing. Sometimes she would bring her own money and contribute to make sure that this man succeeds. She was there when he lost his job, when he didn't have a job. She was there for him. And then, of course, it's natural then, because marriage is an investment. She has invested so much. It's just like you're in a business, and you're putting in everything, your time, your emotion, your money into a business. You want something, obviously, something fruitful to come out of that business. You don't want devourers, you don't want intruders to come in and destroy what you've already built. Your hopes, your aspirations, not only for you, for your children and for your grandchildren. So you see the position of the woman now, she tries to protect her territory. Even with animals, if you watch the animal kingdom, you see animals, they protect their territory. You see the lion and the lioness, you see they protect their territory, they protect their children. So talk more of humans. So you see the woman, she's fighting, she's nagging, she's cursing, she's swearing. And then you might think that, oh, she's going about it the wrong way. But her emotions have been let loose. And then so that's why they have these, there's an adage, that says, hell had no fury, like a woman scorned. So when a woman is scorned, when a woman feels rejected, when a woman feels the time that the husband is supposed to spend with her, he's spending that time with some other woman. When a woman feels that the money that the husband, who used to be poor, now has money, the money that he is supposed to spend on her and the children, he's now spending it on a strange woman, hell is let loose. And that's why you see her, she becomes very angry. She becomes very bitter. And then she starts talking down the man. She's tried everything. She has cried. She has tried to manipulate to see for the man to understand. She has tried to take care of herself. She has done everything and it's not working. And then her last result, she becomes furious. So now for men, so when you go out and then you're supposed to, obviously you've gone to work and you're supposed to close at 5, get home for 6 or 5:30, and then you're staying out late, 10 p.m., 12 midnight, and then when you come, the woman starts nagging, and you now say, oh, she's disrespecting me. She's disrespecting me. Understand that the reason why that woman is exploding or is reacting the way she's reacting, it's not because she hates you. It's because she feels hurt. She's trying to protect her future. She's trying to protect the future of her children. She's trying to protect her territory. She's trying to protect everything that she has worked for over the years. That is why she's reacting the way she's reacting. So when you are dealing with such a woman, you have to deal with her with compassion. You have to deal with her with understanding. You have to begin to think that, for example, if she was my sister, if a man treats her this way, how am I going to feel? Because the woman is hurt. The woman wants to be around the husband. The husband is nowhere to be found. And then you become a never-at-home husband. The children are not there. You are not there for the children. She does the school runs. Everybody thinks she's married, but she's not married. She's only married in principle. So she becomes very bitter, very unhappy. And that is why you see, if you visit most psychiatric hospitals, you see lots and lots of women who couldn't cope. And then they had a breakdown because of what? Relationship matters. And then they get into obviously they now become depressed, and then later they become really, really unwell, and they end up in hospitals. I've seen loads and loads of families destroyed. I've seen a woman who worked so hard, and then she came into the UK first, brought in her husband and children from Nigeria, and then later the man asked her to sign the divorce form. She did not read through it. Women, please, before you sign, before you put in your signature, always read through documents. And then this woman, she trusted her husband so much, she signed her own life away. She signed the divorce form without looking at what she was signing when the husband gave it to her. And then the man divorced her, went back to Nigeria, married another woman, brought in that woman into the UK, got an apartment for the woman, moved out of the house, moved out of the home, and moved in with this other woman, and started having children. They've got about 3 children now. And then because of the trust, the level of trust that this first wife had, she had a breakdown. She had a breakdown, and she became very ill. And then she ended up in hospital. It was to the extent that even in the cold winter, she carried cold water on her head with her bare feet. And then she was walking around the streets of London. It's so bad. And to think that this is a man, she invested so much into the life of the man. So it could be the man's sister, it could be anybody. Why would you promise somebody that you're going to take care of her, and then you end up making her mad? And then some of the women who are strong enough, they don't go mad, and then they become very bitter, and they keep cussing, and they keep making trouble. And then you say, oh, my wife is too troublesome, and that's why I run away from home. That is an excuse. It's not because the woman is troublesome. Dr. Francis Labinjo, thank you very much. I obviously, Dr. Francis Labinjo is a consultant psychiatrist. I'm sure he understands, he knows better about this thing I'm talking about. Dr. Labinjo, I'm actually just talking about issues, how women go into the phases of mental health because of matrimonial problems, because of infidelity in their homes. That's what I'm just talking about. It's a part of domestic abuse within the community where we live, both even here in the UK and the world over, really, where women suffer a whole lot because of infidelity. So a husband actually leaves the wife of his youth, leaves the woman who has suffered with him, and decides to take on another woman, giving an excuse that his wife now is too old, or she's too fat, or she's not educated enough. You see, one of the main, like the former president of Nigeria, Goodluck Jonathan, I'm not really a fan of his, but there's one, I have a kind of respect for him, because obviously he stood by his wife. He stood by her, and I see him somehow as a man of integrity. He's a family man, because most times some of them will say, oh, she's not educated, she cannot speak English, I need to go and take, a younger wife, a more educated woman that can speak English as the first lady. But he stood by her, and all through their tenure, they were together, and I'm sure they're still together now. So we're talking about men of integrity, principled men. Beautiful women, they will keep coming every day. And there's a book, obviously, that says the beautiful ones are not yet born. More beautiful women are being born every day. When you look at them, they're beautiful from head to toe. But the thing is that the difference is that you cannot marry every woman that is out there. And that is why we're talking about integrity and discipline. And then considering that, obviously, these choices that we make can either make or mar us. The choices that a man makes can either make or mar them. So when a man begins to make that kind of a choice, every woman he sees, you drop the first wife and you pick the second one, you drop the second one. I'm not saying there are no women who are bad. There are women who are really, really bad that, like they are not, they are really crazy. There are crazy women out there that if a man doesn't run for his life, apparently, she might end up killing him. I know there are women like that. But I'm just, the purpose of this discussion today, really, is talking about domestic violence as it affects women, with a particular reference to emotional and psychological abuse. That's what the topic, because it's a vast topic. If we start talking about women who are dangerous, bad women who are promiscuous also today, we won't leave this discussion. I know, of course, that there are women who cheat on their husbands, and also men are affected also by infidelity, because men also, they are humans. And then obviously when a man, you don't want to joke with a man's wife, because when a man, a man's wife is his pride. So when you touch a man's wife, obviously you finished him. So I understand all of that. But the topic for today is emotional abuse, psychological abuse, how it affects women and children. So now in moving forward, the position of the man is a position of understanding. If you as a man, you understand that this is your weakness, you cannot do without more women, 2, 3 women, you have girlfriends all over. You need to show a level of compassion for the woman that is that you've left back at home. You need to show a lot of reasonableness and compassion and understanding for your wife and your children. Remember, these are the people who will stand for you and by you if anything happens. If anything happens to you, maybe you've been involved in an accident or you are ill in hospital, you need to ask yourself, who is going to stand by me? It's your children and this wife of your youth. You see? So that is why it is very important for us. When as humans we are sowing seeds, we have to be careful. When you are sowing seed in the life of people, in the life of a man or in the life of a woman, you got to be careful the kind of seed you sow. I've handled cases where men now who are in their 70s, in their early 80s, are being abandoned by their children. They're abandoned by their children. And the excuse, I've tried to speak to some of the children. They say, oh, my daddy abandoned us. My mommy was the one who was there. He made my mommy suffer so much. He ran away with a younger woman. All kinds. And there is nothing you would say to those children that they want to listen to you. And so you begin to look at the bitterness that this man has sown into the lives of his kids. And then you begin to wonder, because these children also, they're going to get married tomorrow, and until they are healed on the inside, they are going into their new homes with that bitterness in them. And then again, that is obviously the ripple effects of domestic violence. How it affects children, because these children get into their own relationship, they become bitter, they become suspicious of a man. Oh, that's how my daddy left my mommy. My daddy was always out there. And then they are very suspicious and very possessive. And then they end up obviously moving from one relationship to the other. So that's the ripple effect of this kind of domestic abuse in the lives of children. We have to be careful. I've seen children who, even at the age of 17, 18, 20, they still bedwet because of what? Insecurities that came about because of dysfunctionalities in the home. So when we make up our mind to say we want to take this woman, it's a serious commitment. It is not about us and that woman or that man anymore. It's about the children also that we're bringing into the world. We got to be very, very careful when we are making such decisions. So when a man is going out there and is changing the women, you have to think about the impact in the life of your wife. You have to think about the impact in the life of your children. The woman is sitting out there, she's waiting for you, she's put your food in the microwave, the food goes cold, she warms it again, she puts it in the oven, she's waiting, she's worried about so many things. She's calling the man on the phone is switched off. She's sending text messages, the man is not responding. She's thinking about a whole lot of things. Is he alive? Has something happened to him? Is he okay? Has he been attacked? It's, all kinds of things that you're putting that woman through. And then the man is out there and saying that he's having fun at the detriment of a woman that you went and took and you said to the whole world, this is the woman I want to spend the rest of my life with. So we got to be very, very careful. And you might be saying, oh, I don't care. I can't be bothered. But the thing is, it's not about you, that woman and the children. There's a third party, because God is watching. And then so when we sow seed, apparently we are bound to reap of that. If you sow a grain, you're going to get back a grain. So when you are sowing a seed of discord, you are sowing a seed of disunity in your family. You are telling your wife that she doesn't come first in your life. You are telling the children that they are not important in your life. When you grow old, how are you going to enjoy your old age? Are you able to call the children to say, I need you right now to come over, or I need you, or daddy is ill in hospital or something? Are the children going to be there for you? So towards the end of life, we must begin to understand that we are not living this life forever. So towards the end of life, what is the story we are going to say? Well, what is going to be the story? What is the story we have to tell? Are we going to lie down on our sick bed, on our dying bed, and say, yes, I've really done well. I've raised healthy children. I've invested into the life of my family. I have contributed so much into the life of my family. I have run the race. I have done well. Even if I'm not able to affect the world, at least my immediate family, I have affected them. And this is the legacy I'm leaving. What will be our story? What is the story that our children have to tell about us? As a man, as a father, as a mother, what is the story that our children have to tell? Because no matter how much a husband and wife obviously make accusations and counter accusations, the children one day they will find out the truth. So what is the story that we are going to say? The children say, my dad was innocent, my mother was actually lying against her, or my mom was a bad woman? Or is it going to be on the other way? Are they going to say my dad was? I met with a girl. She was 23 at this time, and the father tried to brainwash them, and obviously over the years, the mother ended up in mental hospital because of infidelity. And then what happened when she became grown? Obviously, she got pregnant at a very young age because mom and dad, the family obviously fell apart because of infidelity. And then she got pregnant, left home. She was rehoused, given an apartment of her own. And then she began to and then she went into different relationships, not trusting people. And this started affecting her. And then she began to remember, this was what my mom was talking about. Was this why my mom was always nagging? Was this why we thought my mom was troublesome? So this was what my mom went through. My dad never used to come back home early. And then she would wait and talk and make trouble. Was this the emotional trauma this woman was going through? And then she went back, she started looking for her mother. At the time she found her mother, she found her in mental hospital. And then she broke down, she was crying, you see. So these are the kind of effects, the kind of negative effects that a single action from either a man or a woman can have on the lives of children. So we just have to be careful. So emotional abuse and psychological abuse too, it's domestic violence. It's that emotional abuse, it's deeper than physical abuse. Because physical abuse with a wound, it can heal. But with emotional abuse, the wound, obviously it's in there. It's just going to be eaten into the woman. Sometimes it becomes cancerous. Sometimes the woman becomes obviously hypertensive, and she may die of heart attack or all kinds of things. And then she might have obviously mental health problems and then end up in hospital. So why? Because obviously a man just wants to have fun with a strange woman, a woman who doesn't have your interest at heart, a woman who you know truly that she's actually there to kill, to steal, and to destroy. She's just there for what she wants to get. That's what because if anything happens to you, she's going to run away. She's not going to stand by you. She's only there to grab. That's why she's there. That's why she's there. So we just have to be careful. If you know you cannot live with a particular woman or a particular man the rest of your life, you're not going to treat her well, you're not going to love her and be there for her, don't make the mistake of marrying her. Don't make the mistake of marrying that woman or that man. You must ask yourself questions. Is this the person I want to spend the rest of my life with? In sickness and in health, whether she grows fat or she becomes thinner. whether she becomes ugly or whatever happens, is this the woman or the man that I want to spend the rest of my life with? It is important that we ask such questions. Because we are held accountable for the way we are going to treat that man or that woman. It's not just a roller coaster journey where you feel, the day you feel good about how you treat her well, the day you don't feel good so well, I don't care, go to hell, I'll do whatever. You can't control me, you are not my mother. It's not about that, because posterity is there to question you. Posterity is there to question you. How have you lived your life? How have you treated this man? How have you treated this woman? How have you treated the children that God gave, that God puts in your care? Posterity is going to question you. So it's a serious matter. It is a serious affair. Marriage is a serious thing. It's not for society to see that we are married. It's not for show off, Facebook show off. Marriage is a serious commitment. It involves you being careful about the way you treat that man, about the way you treat that woman, about the way you treat the children of the relationship. Because what it means is that if you are able to now have a stable family unit, you are contributing positively to the world. Because a stable family unit is the bedrock of every society. And then you are helping to reduce the gun crime. You are helping to reduce the knife crime. You are helping to make sure that the adults that you've raised, they are stable emotionally. They are stable psychologically. They cannot be moved. They cannot go somewhere and anybody brainwashes them to say, come and become a terrorist. So you are helping to heal the society. You are helping to heal the world. I met with a man and he said to me, for everywhere he goes to, he must make sure that he impregnates a woman, and then he said he will have a child from a Chinese woman, he must have a child from a Japanese woman, he will have one he said the whole world. So I was looking at him, and he should be in his 60s, and I said to him, what do you derive from doing all of this? He said to me, no, because it's helping the women, because there are lots of women and that the men are scarce. I was looking at him. It's like an accident that is about to happen. And I said to him, okay, now, what if you die while you are doing this? What will happen? Because your first wife doesn't even know that you have children outside your matrimonial home right now. He said he doesn't care, that when he dies, he's gone. Whatever they want to do, if they want to kill themselves, let them fight and kill themselves. I couldn't believe, I was looking at this man. This man goes to church. This man carries the Bible. He goes to a Bible-believing church. And I was wondering. So for a man like that, it is his foundation, the background. It is the background. He has a dysfunctional background. And until a man like that begins to obviously understand his purpose here on earth, that his life is more important than this recklessness, I really don't know how anybody can change him. You see? So, I mean, these are the kind of recklessness that we're talking about, where that's why it's important. Because when we are doing what we are doing, our children are watching. So it's like they are innocent because they are copying us. So a man leaves the matrimonial home, and then the son is thinking that, oh, my daddy did it. That's how. So it's a normal thing. So when he gets married, he's going to do the same. He's going to obviously go through the same path, except he goes for counseling, and then he's able to address those issues. So he's going to take that same footstep. And so that's why we're talking about the circle of domestic violence. That's the circle of domestic violence. That's why it just keeps, there's a ripple effect, because children, they watch their parents, and then when they leave home, they copy everything that that they've learned from the parents, and then they duplicate it, and they start acting in that same format when it comes, especially with relationships, with the way they deal with humans. Because every man should be able to ask themselves, what is it that I really want out of life? What is it that if you want to make that woman beautiful, you can make her beautiful. So what is it that is on the outside that is more beautiful than the woman that you've married, that is at home with you, that understands when you are cold, that understands when you are unwell, that understands when you don't have money, that understands and she's ready to stand by you. There is nothing out there. It's risky. And then with the level of sexually transmitted diseases, so there's a whole lot of negative things. You could get caught up with HIV, you could get caught up with gonorrhea, syphilis, all kinds of sexually transmitted diseases. So what is the enjoyment that will make you to impact the lives of your children and the life of your wife negatively? So now, if a man begins to say, oh, my wife doesn't respect me, I come back from home, and then she's fighting me, she's nagging. What is that respect that you're talking? Are you saying that you're supposed to come back home by 5, 6, and you're coming back home the next day? Sometimes you've stayed away for 2 days. Is the woman supposed to now say, oh, welcome, good and faithful servant, well done, you've done well? Or is it you as the man that owes that woman an explanation you are accountable to your family, for crying out loud? It doesn't make you less of a man. Rather, it makes you more of a man. It makes you a responsible man. And not everybody has that quality. That is why you are different. So you have to be careful when you are dealing with a woman, you are dealing with your children, because God is watching. You've got to be careful. You don't want to impact a woman. When you're going into marriage, don't say this, I want this out of marriage. What are you going to bring into the marriage? What are you going to make that man or that woman feel better? Are you going to improve on the woman's life, or are you going to improve on the man's life? That should be the mindset when you are going into a marriage relationship. You are going into that marriage relationship to better the life of that man or to better the life of that woman. Not to make the woman mad, not to make her to end up in mental hospital, or to make her end up sick, and then she now becomes a cancer patient, not to end up dying because of emotional problems. That is not why you are in the life of that woman. That is not why you are in the life of that woman. I know that sometimes culture and society encourages us to do certain things. But at the end of the day, before culture and society and tradition, we are human beings. So what it means is that because we are human beings, we know the difference between what is wrong and what is right. So because we know the difference between what is wrong and what is right, culture and tradition, sometimes we can overlook culture and tradition as far as our home environment is concerned. Because if that particular culture and tradition has gone obsolete to the extent that it is not building our family, then of what use is it to our lives? And then some men will say to their wives, oh, my father had 7 wives. My father had 7 wives. So you knew that my father had 7 wives. So do you think I will marry only you? You are a selfish woman. But when you were marrying the woman, you didn't tell her that you are going to have 2, 3, 4 wives, or you are going to have concubines. You didn't tell her that. You told her that you loved her, you're going to be with her for better, for worse, the two of you. And then she's building all her hopes around you. I want you to understand that that woman, she's building all her hopes around you. So that is why she's nagging. Because it's like you are taking the hope away from her. That's why she's nagging. That's why she's fighting to get your attention. You might think that she's doing it the wrong way, but she's a helpless woman. She's fighting to keep her home. She's fighting to secure the future of her children. She's fighting to keep her territory. That is her territory. Her marriage, that's her territory. She's fighting to protect it. So when you say she's fighting, she's nagging, you have to show a bit of compassion, because whatever state you have, whatever thing you are seeing that woman, that negative aspect of her, you put her in that condition. You put her in that condition. She was not like that when you married her. You put her in that condition. So you have to show compassion. You don't have to now start hitting her when she accuses you. Somebody said they saw you with one woman, and then you start beating her on top of it. That is like really, that's like being really mean. It's like she's questioning you because she feels that she loves you enough that you are accountable to her. And then you are beating her on top of it. And you're saying she's being disrespectful. How dare you ask me? Don't you know I'm a man? And my father had 7 wives. Must you have 7 wives because your father had 7 wives? Okay, let's go down memory lane. The history of your father that had 7 wives. Was there any of the wives that were now loyal to her? None. So must you go through that same route that your father went through? None of the wives will be loyal. Again, that is one of the disadvantages for men. The moment a woman realizes that you are not who you say you are anymore, all she is interested in now will be her children. She becomes disloyal. So all she wants from you is to take your money and take care of her children because her heart has left you. Because you've disappointed her. You did not keep to your words. So the point I'm trying to make is that let's stop this violence in the home. Emotional abuse, psychological abuse, physical abuse, financial abuse. You're buying expensive things for that woman, buying tickets for her to fly abroad for that strange woman out there, and you've not paid the children's school fees. You've not provided for the woman in the house. You've not provided for your wife. You've not provided for the children. And then you are renting an apartment for that strange woman who will not be there for you if anything happens to you. So these are misplaced priorities. Misplaced priorities. So what it means is that when that woman in the house, when she starts crying, God is going to hear her. God is going to listen to her. Because she's bitter. And so when she starts crying from the depth of her being, God is going to listen to her. You want to be there with your children in your old age. You want your grandchildren to run around your feet. You want to take a walk with your grandson and your granddaughters. You want them to be by your side towards the end of your life. You want them to talk good, to say good, obviously talk about good testimonies about you when you are not here anymore. So what is the testimony that you are living in the hands of your family members, your closest family members, your wife and your children? What is the testimony? What is the legacy you're living? In the way and manner that you treat them. Because if you look at men who are prosperous, when I say men who are really prospering, not only money, happy men, go and look at the way they treat their wives. Check out the way they treat their wives. Because as you are treating the woman like a queen, she's blessing you from the bottom of her heart. She's blessing you. She's praying for you. She's covering you. She's wishing you well. She cooks for you. You eat her food. You sleep with her. Those are spiritual things. Don't take those things for granted. Don't say, come on, hey, any woman can cook for me now. What's there? It's more than that. It's more than that. So as she's cooking for you, you are sleeping with her, she's praying for you because she's wishing you well. And then anywhere you go to, you begin to prosper. And then God begins to favor you. And then you're not coming back home thinking of lies to tell. What will I tell this woman now that I went to? You are at peace. And then you are growing old, gracefully. You know, everybody's happy. And then what it means is not even only about you and the woman. It's about the society. You are building a strong family. You are a strong family unit. You are adding positively to your community. Because you've saved souls. You've saved your children from the dysfunctionalities that is now a common thing seen in most families. You've saved your children. So please, we must be conscious. We must be intentional When we are in relationships, we must be intentional. When you are treating that man, be intentional. I must intentionally be good to this man. I want to be good. God put this man in my life. Let me be good to him. Let me wish him well. Let me do good to him. Let me not hurt him. Let me not make him cry. And the same way, when you are in the life of a woman, please add to her life. Be intentional. I want to love this woman. I want to treat her right. I want to obviously add positively into her life. I want to add to her life. From the point where I met her to the point where we are now, I want her to obviously be a better person. You can't get the best from a woman who is bitter or who is sad or who is angry, or a woman who understands that the husband is cheating on her. She cannot add, she can't even concentrate at work. She can't do nothing. Sometimes she's crying in the bathroom. She's crying when she's with the children, and she doesn't want the children to know that she's crying, and then she's hiding her tears. So there's a whole lot of things that women go through, because women are emotional people. So all you owe that woman is to love her. I tell you, if you love a woman, in fact, she will give all of herself to you, everything. She would stand by you. She will respect you. I'm not saying that it's conditional, that if you don't love her, she's not going to respect you. But I'm saying that respect is not something that you have to fight to get. If you love that woman from the way you loved her, right from when you made up your mind that you're going to marry her, love her and care for her, she will respect. You don't have to beg for respect. She will even if you say she should lick your feet. I know you are not going to do that anyway. She will do it. She will so the respect will just flow naturally. You don't have to struggle for it. So sometimes when you see a woman being strong-headed and she's being very mouthy, she has lost it because she's unhappy, and then she becomes very flippant and she's calling the man all kinds of names, even though it's not acceptable. But you've pushed her to do that. So how do you make her a better person? That is not the woman that you married. How do you make her a better person? That's what you should ask. You don't want to see the worst part of that woman. You want to see the best part of her. And for you to be able to see the best part of her, you need to invest positively into her life. Give her positives. And so when you give her positives, you're going to get positives and even plus. That is what we are talking about. And then it's going to rub off on the children, and you're building up healthy children. And remember, these children will now get married, and they now copy what you've done in what they've seen in the what they saw their dad doing to their mom. And then it just goes like that. And we are building happy families, and children are stable, and the society is stable. That is what we're talking about. So enough of this violence in the home, enough of tradition and culture, enough of oppression, where a man says, oh, my wife doesn't respect me. I come back, you come back 12 midnight and the woman is asking you and you are saying she doesn't respect you. It doesn't add up. You don't want her to, if she doesn't ask where you are coming from, it means that she doesn't care. She cares, that's why she's asking you. She cares, that's why she's checking your phone. She is trying to protect her territory. Don't hit her. You can sit her down and talk about it. If there's a particular hairstyle you want her, you saw a girl out in the shopping complex, maybe you want her to do that particular hairstyle, go do some shopping and make her look better. Spend on her. No woman is ugly. Every woman is beautiful. Most especially when you see a woman who is happy, you see her, she will begin to blossom. Be that man that will impact positively into the life of your wife. Because your type is rare. Be that man, that's one single man. Begin to be that single man that will impact positively into the life of your wife. That people will talk about you and say, that man, he doesn't joke with his wife. Be that man. Forget about tradition and custom. Those are archaic practices where a woman has to be seen but not to be heard. Gone are those days. Be that man that the children will hit their chest and say, my daddy was a good man. Be that man that at your graveside, your wife and your children, they will obviously speak positive things about you. Be that man. You can't do it. You have goodness on the inside of you. And as you are doing it, God will begin to bless you. Doors will begin to open for you. And you're going to have long life because there's no stress. Because your wife is there praying for you 24/7. And then she's wishing you well. And then your daughters are saying, oh, I'm looking for a man that's just like my daddy. I've not found that man. And then everybody is talking about you positively. Be that man. You can do it. You can do it. It doesn't have to be bitter, bitter, bitter. The wife is bitter. The wife is angry. They are fighting. Every day people are coming to settle in your house. Every day people are calling, oh, have you heard what is going on in Mr. XYZ house? It doesn't, that's not what life, for how long? We have highest 100 years to live. We have highest 100 years to live. So what's the legacy? Even if you leave this woman and you move on to another woman, how many more years do you have to live with that other woman? And then all that you've built with this first woman, you've lost everything. And then you go to a strange woman. Be that man that your children will be proud of. Let's stop domestic violence. Let's stop violence in our homes. Even with women, I hear that there are women these days, married women who go about sleeping around. You know, I really don't know, because what is the legacy as a woman that you are leaving for your children? What is the legacy? And you say the man doesn't spend money on you and you go about sleeping with Mr. A, Mr. B, and you are a married woman. What example are you leaving for your children? Because the children are watching. You might think that they don't know. They know. They are seeing you. And then the husband tries to stop you and you say, oh, that useless man. And you're talking down the man. And then you're bringing down the man, bringing down his ego. God is watching you. God is watching you, because a time will come, your children are going to question you. They will ask you, Mommy, why did you do this to our daddy? Why did you turn our daddy into the woman in the house? They're going to ask you questions. There is no excuse whatsoever that will make a married woman to start sleeping around. There is no justification at all. No justification whatsoever. It is shameful that we are beginning to raise women. We have beginning to raise women who don't have shame. There's no justification. You're supposed to be the matriarch of the family. You're supposed to groom your daughters, make them responsible women. And then they see you sleeping around. Today you are in Abuja. Tomorrow you are in Lagos. Next tomorrow you are in Sokoto. And you are a married woman, and you are chasing contracts. There's nothing wrong in chasing contracts, but if you have to exchange contracts with your body, then there's everything wrong with it. There's definitely everything wrong with it. So let's begin to build healthy families. This is my message today. Let's begin to build healthy families. Let's try. We can make it. As husbands and as wives, we can make it. We can set good examples within our community. If that is the only legacy we're living in the world, we have done a whole lot, because posterity will not forget us. Because our children will get married and they will now copy us. They will have their own stable families, and then our grandchildren, and it just goes on. And then obviously, and then society will become better. Then we won't be having this gun crime, we won't be having this knife crime. Look at what is going on in the world now. You know, young children going into cults, practices, they are going using knife and gun, they are fighting. It's because of dysfunctionalities in our homes. So thank you very much, Amina Mohammed. Thank you, Patrick Okoli, my sweetheart. Thank you. I see you there. Chief Ejaifo Debala, thank you very much. You are one man that I respect very much, because obviously you take so good care of your beautiful wife. Thank you very much. I must thank you. Maybe you don't know, I know. Thank you, Uchenna Osunwa. Thank you for joining. Emmy Douglas Zakana, thank you. Thank you very much. The topic we've just talked about today, I try to balance it. I don't take sides with men or women. I try to balance it. But sometimes when I talk about a particular topic, I just concentrate either on men or on women. But sometimes when men you say, oh, she's talking down on men. I don't talk down on men. I don't talk down on women. If you know me, Even when women come to my office and I know they've wronged their husband, I tell them we must go and beg that man. So I try to balance it. But the only thing is that sometimes I feel that the women, they are the receiving end most of the times because they are the weaker sex. And they are the ones that suffer most in the homes as far as the issues of domestic violence. So that's why I'm just trying to bring out these areas that emotional abuse and psychological abuse is also a part of domestic violence. Financial abuse also is a part of domestic violence. When you know the woman is not working and you're supposed to be the provider, provide for her. The days you don't have, explain to her and let her know that you don't have. And the little you have, you share with her. You don't take the little you have and you take it out to a strange woman that will not benefit you later in life. We must begin to act responsibly to build healthy family units. That is what my message is really. The message is not to condemn anybody or to bring anybody down. The message is for us to begin to sort of think and then to have a change of mind, to begin to change our thought process so that we can have a better society. We can't change the world at the same time, but we can start from our own self because the buck stops with us. So as far as we are conscious of our environment, our homes, and we begin to build and to begin to impact lives of our husbands and our wives positively, and indeed our children, we obviously, what else does a prosperity ask from us than that? It means we're adding positively to our community. And I thank you all. I'll be on this way some other time. I will let you know when, obviously, I'll be discussing the next topic. The next topic I will be talking about, maybe sometimes this week, will be, is it right for a man to steal from his wife, or is it right for a woman to steal from his wife? You know, sometimes some women, they go to the husband's purse in the wardrobe, they take the wallet and they take some money, and then the man might not know. And women, they do it also. So, he's my husband, I can steal from him. So the question now is it right as a man or as a woman for us to steal from our spouse? That's the next topic we're going to discuss on this platform. Thank you very much. I hope you continue to be part of this broadcast. As I'll try as much as possible, as often as possible, to obviously do one or two broadcasts just to impact lives, to begin to help to change people's thought process, not to condemn them, to make people to realize that we can actually do better. We can be better people. We have goodness on the inside of us. You see, so we can be better people. We can build fantastic, healthy homes. We can build healthy children. We can actually love our husbands and our wives because we have love on the inside of us. But we have to be intentional. We just have to be intentional to say, okay, you know what? I must do it. It is compulsory. I have made up my mind to marry this man. I've made up my mind to marry this woman. I must make their life better. I must impact positively into their life. That is all it takes. And once we're intentional each day, we just continue to get better. We become used to it. We become used to it, and the world now becomes a better place for everybody. Please try as much as possible to share these broadcast on your Facebook, obviously on your timeline, and let as many people as possible obviously partake of this little information. And then obviously I'll be very happy if it is shared. And if you have any additional contribution, you feel there are things we've not touched on, obviously, during this broadcast, you can inbox me and send me some messages. I'm available to, obviously, to respond. And if either you or any family member has any issue that has to do with relationship, because I am a relationship expert. I've practiced as a lawyer for 24 years, as a family lawyer. So I've seen men, I've seen women, I've represented clients on both sides, both the applicants and respondents. So I know the feeling, you know. Nobody opens, no human opens up to even their doctor as much as they open up to their solicitors, to their lawyers. So I've seen men who have opened up and they've cried to me, and I've seen them shed tears. I've seen broken men. I've seen women who are like, sometimes when they cry, I cry. I'm the only lawyer that cries with clients. I cry with them in the office. So that is actually why this is what my passion is about. And I begin to ask questions that we can actually do better. A relationship, it's not supposed to be a struggle. hold. It's supposed to be something that we are to enjoy. Marriage is beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. We can make it better. And this is where my passion came from. So I just thank you for your support. I thank you, obviously, for having, taking time out, your very busy schedule, to join me on this broadcast. And I thank you. I hope to hear from you very soon. If you have any questions or you have any concerns, anything you want to ask relating to relationship, inbox me and I'll be able to respond to you within 24 hours. Thank you very much. God bless you. God bless your homes, your marriages, and you continue to enjoy sweetness in your marriage. For those who are yet to be married, God will direct your footsteps. You'll find that good man and that good woman. Your children will be better than you. Your children will excel. They will have stable homes. Your children will not marry your enemies and their enemies. They will marry the best person, the best man and the best woman that will treat them like gods and goddesses. And so shall it be. In the mighty name of Jesus. Thank you very much. God bless you. Bye-bye. Bye.